All right, let's talk about something called behavior-driven development, or BDD for short. It sounds kind of technical, right? But trust me, it's a super powerful idea that's changing how teams build software. We're going to break down what it is, why it's such a big deal, and how you can actually use it to make better stuff.
So let's kick things off with a question that, hits a little too close to home for a lot of teams. Have you ever seen this happen? You've got this amazing team, smart engineers, sharp testers, everyone's working hard. But then, months later, you launch your new feature and crickets. It's not what people wanted. So what went wrong? Well, 9 times out of 10, it's not about talent. It's about a simple, tiny breakdown in communication.
Okay, so here's what we've got on tap. First, we'll look at that collaboration gap. Then we'll see how BDD swoops in to save the day with a shared story. After that, we'll get hands-on with writing the script, peek at some real-world examples, cover the do's and don'ts, and finally, wrap it all up with the big takeaways. All right, let's get into it. The collaboration gap. It sounds kind of dramatic, but it's a real thing. Picture this. On one side, you have the business folks. They're talking about goals, user needs, and what they hope to achieve. The why. On the other side, you've got the tech team, thinking in terms of code, databases, and how to actually build it, the how. And when those two conversations don't line up perfectly, that's the gap. It's like a game of telephone where misunderstandings sneak in and suddenly you're building something nobody asked for. So, that's the problem. How do we fix it? How do we build that bridge? Well, this is where BDD makes its grand entrance. And listen, BDD isn't just some fancy new way to test things. It's so much more than that. It's really a way of working together, a practice that's all about closing that gap and getting everyone to agree on one single shared story of how something should work. Okay, so let's put a pin in it. What is BDD really? Simply put, it's a way for the entire team, and I mean everyone, the product owner, the developer, the tester, to get together and describe how a piece of software should behave using plain and simple English. The focus is all on the behavior from a user's perspective. It's all about making sure we all agree on the story before we start building. I love this analogy. It just makes everything click. Think about making a movie. You wouldn't just show up on set with a camera and start shooting, right? No way. You start with a script. With BDD, it's the exact same idea. The whole team gets together to write the script for a new feature. Everyone reads it, everyone understands it, and everyone agrees on the story. Then, and only then, do you start the expensive part, the filming, or in our case, the coding. Okay, so if we're all writing this movie script together, what language do we use so that everyone understands? We use something called Gherkin. And no, it has nothing to do with pickles. Gherkin is just a super simple, structured way of writing things down. The whole point is that it's so easy to read that anyone, and I mean anyone, can understand it. This one little script becomes your requirements, your tests, and your documentation, all rolled into one. Gherkin is awesome because it's built on just 3 magic words: given, when, and then. It's like a formula for telling a story. Given, that's your setup. It sets the scene. Where are we starting from? When, that's the action. What does the user actually do? And then, that's the outcome. What's supposed to happen as a result? See? Setup, action, outcome. So simple, but so powerful. And hey, if you need a little trick to remember that, just think GWT, as in just go with the flow. The go is your setup, the with is the action, and the is the result. Go with the flow. Pretty easy to remember, right? Okay, enough with the theory, right? Let's get real. How would this actually look on apps that we all use every single day? This is the part where it all starts to make perfect sense. Let's take Amazon Search. We all know it. Behind the scenes, it's crazy complex, but the story is simple. Ready? Given I'm on the Amazon homepage, okay, that's our starting point. When I enter wireless headphones into the search bar and click that search button, that's the action. Then I should see a list of wireless headphones. Bam, the result. That's it. It's so clear, right? A developer, a manager, a tester, anyone can look at that and go, yep, I get it, that's what we're building. Let's do one more, this time with Netflix, the login. Given I am on the Netflix login page, there's our setup. When I enter a valid email and password and I click sign in, that's what I do. Then I should be redirected to my home screen. That's the happy ending. This little story is basically a contract. It tells the whole team exactly what success looks like for a user logging in. Okay, so BDD sounds pretty straightforward, and it is. But, like with anything, there are a few little rules, some do's and don'ts, that can really help you get the most out of it and avoid some common traps. Let's run through these real quick. On the do side, definitely focus on the behavior, the what, not the technical details of
How? Use everyday business language, not code speak. And please, keep it short and sweet. Now for the don'ts. Don't start describing clicks and database calls. That's not the point. Don't write a novel for one scenario. If it's too long, break it up. And remember, this is for user behaviors, not for your tiny little unit tests.
All right, we've gone through a lot, so let's zoom out for a second and ask the most important question. Why does any of this matter? What's the real, honest-to-goodness payoff for you and your team?
Okay, here are the big wins. First, BDD turns testing from something that happens at the end, in a corner, into a full-on team sport. Everyone's involved from the start. Second, it creates this incredible shared understanding. No more guessing games. Third, these little stories can be automated so they become what we call living documentation. It's documentation that's always up to date with your actual code. And maybe the biggest win of all, it stops you from wasting time. You catch misunderstandings early, before you've written a single line of code, which saves so much rework down the line.
So when you boil it all down, the magic of BDD isn't really about the tools or the syntax. It's about people. It's about conversation, collaboration, and making sure that everyone on the team is telling the exact same story. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. How could getting together to write a shared story completely change the game for your team's next project? Thanks for tuning in.